Hey, what in the world is happening on Vashon? Are you ready for the Beachcomber report? Because it is super exciting this week. It's not, but it's super exciting. Not really. It's actually pretty interesting this week, truthfully. All right, you ready? Here we go. All right, we're going to start with the ferry, because the ferry, the effing ferries. That is pretty much how people here relate to the ferries, the effing ferries. Now, we're on a two boat schedule since the pandemic. And apparently at this wonderful meeting, there is nothing anyone's going to do about it. There is a write your congressperson solution path, which, I mean, frankly, all right, that is in fact the only path. There's got to be legislation to free up funds so that all that makes sense. Okay. And writing your congressperson and, your Washington state senator makes a difference, whereas just bitching on Facebook does not. No one argues for that. However, that said, there are definitely things people can do with the resources they have. And the sort of throw up your hands and go, there's nothing we can do about it attitude is a little annoying, I think, to put it mildly. So let's just talk for a second about this whole thing here. What happened at this meeting, what it was about. All right. So fundamentally, what we've got is two boats, right? And even the boats that we have aren't really divided equally between Vashon and Southworth. Now, the real issue is Southworth is not an island. Southworth, people can drive to the city if they want to. They can drive, you drive around. It's obviously takes more time, but you could do it. On Vashon, not so much. If we don't get a boat, we don't get off. There is nothing about that. And the general consensus is that's not taken into account with any of this, that there's multiple boats during the day that run right from Southworth to Fauntleroy. Don't even stop at Vashon. So whether they're full or not, we don't get any service. Makes no sense. It doesn't need more crew to do that. You don't need more resources to do that. You just need to stop the damn boat at Vashon and pick up some cars. Nope, nothing we can do about it. Nothing we can do about it. Right. In addition, the boats that load at Southworth, particularly the early morning boats, don't have a 50-50 car maximum. They don't divide the boat evenly. So they can get full on Southworth and then not be able to pick up very many or any Vashon cars, which is a craziness. I mean, the people on Southworth could drive around if they had to. We can't. So to run it that way and then purport that there's nothing we can do about it is madness. It's maddening anyway for me. Now, no one here is moving off because of the boats, I don't think. And housing here is still quite expensive. So it's a little bit of a first world problem. At the same time, it's nothing is more irritating. Well, I don't know. Little is more irritating to me than some government official throwing up their hands and saying there's nothing we can do about it. We need more money. I hate that attitude. I just hate it. There's no one, and they have these meetings where they can hear the problems, but then there's just zero commitment to go to work on doing anything about it with the resources that they have. So it's irritating at best that this is the case, but that was the case. So if you want to read more about that, that's in the Beachcomber this week. The ferries tell Vashon to go get effed. All right. Well, there you go. Nothing new there. Okay. The other piece is, let's just look at this. We'll come back to the open space, but there's new zoning been proposed to encourage low-income housing. All right. So this is interesting. This is an interesting little phenomenon here. They're looking at just the downtown area, right? None of these changes impact anything other than just the downtown corridor. And I say downtown, and if you're not from Vashon, you're watching this from some other city. We're talking about, I don't know, quarter mile along the highway, and that's downtown. That's it. That's the only maybe it can't be maybe it's a half mile. Of the business district, and they're talking about loosening up the requirements in terms of the way the buildings need to look, how tall they can be, as long as developers are including low income housing in there, they should be able to get more leeway. The proposal is to retire the incentives that have not produced anything, retire incentives that are not incentivizing anybody to do anything. Good. All right. And then include new incentives to encourage them. All good. The one thing, and I think this is really smart, makes my heart really happy, is that who's the committee that's doing this? Let's just look. The Vashon Community Council is in the process of responding to the proposed changes. And the one thing that they are in fact saying is they would like the fee in lieu to be deleted. In other words, the developer needs to include low-income housing, or they pay a fee. And that is that's what the committee is opposing. Should be no fee in lieu. There should be, if you want to build here on Vashon and you want to use these, then you've got to include low-income housing, because otherwise, what do we get? We get more bigger commercial buildings, but less, housing solutions. And that's nuts. Now, none of this, like I said, impacts the island as a whole. This is all for the downtown corridor. But it would be, at least it's trying something. And these new incentives are incentives that have worked at other places. So they're not just pulling them out of the air. These are incentives that have worked in other parts of the city of Seattle. So there's some promise there with this, and that there's been an opposition to fee in lieu. Personally, thumbs up. Love that. All right. So there's that. Those are two decent sized news events. If you're living here, those are two big deals. And then this is something personal for me, because I love David and Janet, the people that founded the O Space. And, it's 15 years, and that's wild. This is a wild project. They've turned it into a 501c3, right? So that's lovely that it's now a nonprofit, which we think is fantastic. And David and Janet's commitment to incorporating visual and performing arts and having a space where that could happen on the island, that is a real expression for them. It's really moving. I get moved when I think about what David and Janet have built here. I just think they're brilliant, and I think it's a brilliant commitment and brilliantly executed. And they developed the space multiple times over the years. They host terrific events, great concerts, theater, art shows, and there's places there for people to practice and learn how to do aerial arts and martial arts. And it couldn't be more at home here on Vashon. It just couldn't be more consistent with what, I would think this island really is committed to in terms of its expression for people around the arts. So kudos to them. They've just taken on a new, what's the position? I want to get it right. The organization's executive director, now at the 501c3, Chuck Zimmer, who I do not personally know. But I think it's fabulous that they're celebrating 15 years. And if this ever got back to David and Janet, much kudos to y'all. I think you're just the best. Okay. And then that's it. So there, then there's other, little drips and drabs of news on the island, but not much. So if you're interested, you should check out the Beachcomber. We love the Beachcomber. And if you have any questions about Vashon in general, give me a call, hit me up. Make sure you like this, subscribe, share this video. Let me know what questions you have about island life, what you'd like to know about living here. That's what I'm here for. Aaron Hendon with Christine Company, eXp Realty. Party on, Wayne. See you next week.